everyone. This is David Ellis again from UCM Media. And today we're going to be doing a very interesting show on Ancestry. Now, we have no idea what we're talking about whenever we have these shows. Amir and I just riff. But on the Ancestry spectrum, we're going to be talking about stuff that really matters. So when you're talking about Ancestry, what are we talking about? We're talking about lines of respect, lines of love that come down through the generations and to you. So for those of you who think, well, I'm just a singular individual existing in time and space, no. A lot of effort and knowledge went into creating you, no matter where you are. And so people think Ancestry is only for rich people or people who have some sort of high status in some sort of discipline or whatever else, right? They attribute that to people like the samurai or the Rockefellers or whatever else. No, Ancestry is actually very important because what it is a teaching and a learning of DNA that is passed on to the generations. So whatever went into you to make you is important. And all you need to do is sift through the good parts of it and the bad parts of it, and then voila, you add to the ancestral knowledge. You don't squander it or waste it. Amir, I'm going to let you jump in here.
Ladies and gentlemen, my warmest greetings to you. Welcome. We're very grateful for you being here with us. And today we're going to explore the topic of ancestry, how that affects you in this ever-present moment of now. And what are the benefits of connecting to the ancestors, knowing where you come from? What could be the downsides of what ancestors have done in your current life in this ever-present moment of now? So it's a mixed bag of good, bad, and ugly. But you have this duty towards yourself to know what these secrets are, investigate them thoroughly. You'd be surprised what you find in your heritage. So you may get access to gifts, knowledge, rites of passage, wisdom. On the flip side, you may have inherited some bloodline curses that are affecting your entire bloodline, yourself and your children, grandchildren negatively. You can do powerful healings on these. So it's good, bad, and ugly. So David, let's just jump into this. This is one of the more interesting topics we've done.
You're talking about good, bad, and ugly. This is a very interesting topic because when you're talking about the ugly side, like my ancestors used to eat people.
Been there, yeah. haven't we all?
That would be ugly. That would be ugly. Turns out that David is vegan. I don't know if it's some suppressed memory. Yeah, probably. I don't want to, start the meat thing and then be biting people on the streets. I don't know. Okay. Turns out that David is vegan. So look, guys, when it is that you're talking about ancestry, you have to, first of all, accept what has gone before. Now, it doesn't matter who your ancestors were. When you are making judgments about your ancestry, you have to be very careful and always attribute what they did to the times that they lived in. Some of your ancestors were warlike. Some of your ancestors were horrible people. But they were horrible people within the context of the time that they lived in. Years from now, assuming that the world goes through some great metaphysical realization, 600 years from now, our descendants will be looking at us and thinking, Christ, these people were ghoulish, barbaric. So you have to always put ancestry within the context in which it actually occurs. And so a lot of people, when they do ancestral searches and so on, and they find out stuff that they don't really like, they generally tend to become embittered and think that they have to go on the polar opposite side of whatever the ancestry that they have discovered, whatever activities they were involved in. And that's a bit extreme, because whereas ancestry is important because it pretty much codes who you are in this world, It is not the be all and end all of who you are. You are a spiritual being and you can absolutely make your own choices.
That's so true. It's all about choices in this ever-present moment of now, where this I am presence is at the peak, at the apex of authority. It is you here now that can do a lot of healing. Not just on yourself, you can heal the ancestors. So if something went upside down, went sour, one of the ancestors messed up and joined the dark side and sold all the bloodline down the river, guess what? You can fix it. You can heal all those since that act of dishonor to the present day and all future generations. They would never have to suffer the consequences of that dishonorable act. I mean, selling out, right? There might be powerful left-hand path practitioners who don't want the karma of their actions. So they pass it on to the next generation and the next and so on and so on. So the karma of what they're done dishonorably is forced onto their progeny. That can be corrected very powerfully. And guess what? It doesn't start with that delinquent and wrongdoer ancestor. There may be hundreds, thousands of generations before that acted in the light, acted righteously. They're suffering for this guy's bad behavior too. Looking at you, their beautiful progeny, their child, their grandchild, great-grandchild, and so on. And if you have the fortitude to fix it, you have a special place of honor among the ancestors. The flip side is also true. Your bloodline may have been in the service to all. Powerful healers, powerful shamans, powerful teachers, light workers. And that accumulated wisdom is within your DNA. But you have to earn the wisdom. You have to go through your own rites of passage to receive those gifts from the ancestors with their blessing. So again, knowing what's gone before is very important. And this is all accessible to you, given that you do sufficient healing, purification of yourself, and you spend enough time in meditation with knowledge of the real world, like what your DNA is composed of, and then meditating on your past, your own Akashic records. You'll get visits from these ancestors that will tell you, okay, I am so-and-so. I'm very proud of what you have done. You have healed us. You have healed our line and future and past generations. Now we can sit around the fire in peace. That is beautiful. There's so much in this topic.
Yeah, there's so much in this topic. I'm going to try to organize the information here because I want to start from the past. So one of the major problems that people experience when they're stepping on to spiritual enlightenment and they become more aware of the things that affect them metaphysically is the concept of ancestral curses. Oh boy, big topic. That should be a show just by itself. Ancestral curses, and you could see it passing down the line, okay? And if it is that you're close to your mom or your grandmother, the ancestral curses are passed down the line, and people find it difficult to get rid of them. That's one of the worst things. If a curse has lasted from the generations to generations, it pretty much is coded to that individual, okay? And the way that you escape it, we want to give you some advice here. If you are aware that there's an ancestral curse, you absolutely have to do what is metaphysically necessary to get rid of that ancestral curse. Keep in mind that if you believe that there is such a thing as just genes, genealogy can be an ancestral curse. Like, I don't know, liver weakness in the family, poor health in the family, that's an ancestral curse. Yeah. So guys, you guys have to take into consideration when it is that you're doing your meditations and your rituals and so on. Pay attention to the ancestral curses because things that you do can affect them, amplify them, or, disperse them. Yeah. Amir, we're going to have to give some techniques here clearly because people do know that there under some sort of ancestral curse, but they have no idea what to do about it. So I'm going to pass it to you, and then we're going to get into this topic.
Yes. So this requires significant meditation, contemplation on the topic. But ladies and gentlemen, don't be weary. All the knowledge is already within you. So you may ask, okay, how on earth am I supposed to know what happened 700 years ago? But the answer is already within you. You're carrying that knowledge within your physical body.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say that you, first of all, have some tangible physical history, evidence. So for example, you have a family crest. Well, these crests are absolutely magical, binding, ritualistic contracts.
Mm-hmm.
And an entire clan or bloodline is bound to that contract. So by very definition, they are above time. They're 4D and above rituals. Excuse me. The good thing about that is, because they are out of time, whenever they are broken in all time. So if one of the members of the family or bloodline is able to actually break it, they liberate all the bloodline.
Mm-hmm.
And so investigating where the source is, you may be able to find out the approximate time in history where certain great events happened, wars occurred, different civilizations took over. So for example, with the movement of the Spanish in South America, a lot of these curses were put into place by torturing powerful practitioners, forcing them to sign contracts, spiritual contracts. And out of duress and pressure, many of them had no choice but to do this. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't always an act of dishonor to sell out. Many times they had no choice. Maybe the whole village was in front of them. They were given two options. Either you sign the contract, or we're going to burn everybody in front of you and then burn you. So impossible choice. Whatever they did, they would lose. So many of them said, okay, I wish and pray for somebody in my bloodline to break this in the future. And they signed. So you can be that powerful practitioner, first and foremost for yourself, this I am presence that is here now. Many of these curses manifest in the form of autoimmune diseases, organ failures, cancer, you name it, a whole range of illnesses that affect your DNA. Some error occurs and the illness manifests like a time bomb. So I can give you an example for myself. My bloodline contained autoimmune, rheumatism, organ failure, all different manifestations where the body's own immune system turns on the body. Breaking the family crest released that from me. I can tell you, very interesting experience. It felt like acid coming out of every single joint in my body. And it actually burned the skin as it was coming out. Guess what? In all my living family members, I'm the only one that doesn't have the autoimmune. Every single one have it. So you can liberate yourself. Now the next level would be healing everybody living, and the next level would be healing all the ancestors, past and future. But it requires a lot of work. It's an immense responsibility. And the fact that nobody in your bloodline to this current point in time has been able to break it, it just shows you how powerful these rituals are.
Mm-hmm. I think that the first thing is to be aware, that's the meditative aspect, that there is a family curse running. And you do that by actually being observant of what is going on with your family. And so you can see ancestral curses coming down the line, and they're very potent. And if they're coming down the line from generation to generation, they haven't skipped a generation, you are next in line. How do ancestral curses develop? Now, Amer gave you an example of what I'm talking about. If your ancestors were ill-behaved, like conquerors or conquistadors, as an example, please understand that the people that they took gold and valuables from a lot of these people had their own rituals that they would curse the gold.
Yeah.
They would curse the objects that were taken from them by force, by violence. And the person who receives that gold, all down the line is cursed. Okay? All down the line is cursed. And so, whether you believe in ancestral curses or not, I'm sure you believe in coincidence. It can't be a coincidence that everybody on my mother's side of the family or everybody on my father's side of the family suffers from a particular situation or a particular affliction. So you have to figure out how you as an individual can avoid this affliction. And yes, you can say, well, I take steps, I go to the gym, I exercise, etc., and I know it's coming, so I am being very careful. But that's only half the solution. The other half of the solution is in the metaphysical realm, where you detach that stuff in the metaphysical realm. And the way to do it is by being aware, first of all, taking active steps to say, metaphysically, from the soul, I refuse this. And taking punitive measures against any entity, any force that tries to push this curse in your direction. So you have to actually make a decision in and of yourself that, yes, my family is susceptible to this. I am not the one. And so breaking ancestral curses requires a large amount of willpower. And you're only going to develop that if you do the work. Guys, you're only going to develop that. Anybody who doesn't do the metaphysical work, it's kind of like a ship on the ocean, no paddles, no board, no oars, no engine, no anything. And so you're just drifting, having the tide take you from place to place. And this is what we're trying to avoid by doing this broadcast. Because a lot of y'all are drifting. You think you are singular dot in time and space. You're not. You're connected to a whole range of dots. A lot of energy went into making you. It's not my mom and dad had sex and all of a sudden I was here. And I'm here now, so you know what? I'm just going to party. No, a lot of things went, a lot of energy, a lot of thought patterns went into making you, and it didn't just start with your mom and your dad. And that's good and that's bad energy went in there. So what it is that you're talking about creating a clean slate for yourself to assist with your line, your descendants, and to heal your ancestors. You have to take the step in this incarnation to say, well, whatever ancestral curses are around me, I revoke them, revocate.
Yes, yes.
And that will require ritual, and that will require meditation, and that will require, as I said, a lot of willpower. But you don't do it just for yourself. You do it for the people that went before and the people that will come after.
That is absolutely correct. So something that is carrying on in the astral, created magically in dimensions beyond the physical, must be dismantled and destroyed in the same way. Purely working in the physical realm, you don't have access to it. You won't be able to modify it anyway. So David mentioned the revocations. So many of these are created by Andrew Bartzis. David has a wide collection of these. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, you can create your own revocations once you study a number of these sacred texts. And I say sacred, these are the sacred texts of the 21st century. The same as the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, the Talmud, right? The Gita.
Mm-hmm.
In this time, these are our sacred texts written by us, written by you, powerful beings. So when you do this revocation, you're going to notice it is very, very difficult. It is among the most taxing, energetically taxing rituals that you will ever perform. But once it's broken, it's broken.
Yes.
The reverberations are going to ripple throughout the ocean of time, backwards and forwards in different domains.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there is the element of free will among the ancestors and among living relatives. They may choose to accept liberation or not. That is their free will.
Mm-hmm.
But there are many, many among those who choose liberation. They don't want to exist with the dishonor, the burden, the shame, the sorrow. And so by doing this, you're freeing not just yourself, but everybody who chooses to be free in that bloodline. And may I politely present this notion that, okay, I'm telling you that this is very difficult, but there are those master souls that incarnate into degenerate bloodlines just for the purpose of breaking curses. That's what they do. They are super soldiers. They're the commandos of the universe. They're those badass beings that are sent in when things go really nasty. So don't discount the immense power that you have. If you actually manage to do this, that's all the evidence that you need of the immense power that you have as a being. Perhaps that's what you do. That's your nature. You come in and break family curses. Move on to the next line.
You know, Amir, it's actually kind of funny that people don't understand the concept of ancestry, because here's the thing. You have a Christian family, but a little girl in that family turns out a little bit different. Whatever the little girl wishes for, just a little bit, just a tad, just a little bit different. Whatever the little girl wishes for, it happens. The little girl is not like the family. The little girl is quickly painted as a black sheep because the little girl is talking to imaginary friends in the garden.
Yes.
And
imaginary, yes.
And it does not stop. It does not stop when she gets to teenage years. Yeah. And now that's a problem. Why are you still talking to imaginary friends, right? I'm sorry. Why are you still talking to imaginary friends? So that little girl is set upon saying, why are you doing this? And then you look back in your ancestry and you realize that great-great-grandma, whatever, had the same affliction, but they called her a witch.
Yeah. Yep.
And so ancestry is a very funny thing because you think you might escape it, but it might jump a few generations and bam, your kid might turn out just a little tad different from the rest, okay? Yes. And when that kid turns out different from the rest, you're going to have to try to explain that to yourself. And guys, look, I mean, ancestry is a hell of a thing. It's especially when there's a piece of information in that ancestral line, like witchcraft, as an example.
Yeah.
You can't escape it. It will come through, especially when it is that people have been practicing witchcraft. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. I know this family. They're as old as my family because we did the ancestral line. Now, they practice something called Kele, voodoo. And in the Caribbean at the time, they forced, you couldn't go to school unless you were Roman Catholic.
There we go. Yeah.
So you were forced, if you wanted to live a normal life, to become Christian. And so a lot of people converted, but did they really convert in their hearts? No, they just wanted to be able to go to school and learn to read and write. And that's how the Roman Catholics went around converting people. When they stopped converting by the sword, what they did was convert by, religion, by education. So as an example, you weren't anybody. You couldn't get a baptismal certificate that said you were X and Y's son, as an example, unless you were Roman Catholic, because they pretty much founded the registries in whatever country they went into. And so you had a choice whether you wanted your children to be thought of as bastards, not having a place. And the thing about it is that the people who came before never needed any of that. You didn't need a piece of paper to say that this was your son.
Yeah.
And so ancestry is a very important thing. So they set up these registries. And so the only way you can actually be registered as somebody's son is if you were christened.
Yes.
And so a lot of people converted. But you see, here's the thing, right? When you force people to convert like that and people suddenly become Christian, it may go on for a couple of generations and then it comes back.
With a vengeance, may I say.
Yeah, the voodoo thing comes back, right? And then that'll be that one descendant that decides, no, this doesn't feel right to me at all. I'll tell you what feels right. What feels right is praying to my ancestors, my Orisha, right? That's what actually feels right to me. And I have to say, it actually warms my heart that actually operates like that. It actually does. Because it's kind of like ancestral karma. We just did a short karma.
Yes.
Kind of like ancestral karma. It comes back. It comes back, guys. Okay? And I suppose what I want to say with regard to this point is that the good parts of ancestry and the bad parts of ancestry, if they are not dealt with, they will always come back. You may suppress it, but if you want to get rid of it, the answer, as Amir has just said to, is to get into the astral world and disconnect those traits. Okay? And honestly, when it comes to that, if you're already talking about the astral world, spirituality is one of the things that you don't want to disconnect. I've never been able to understand how people who've been in the spiritual realm go back to religion. It's usually the other way around, right? But I suspect it has to do with the fact either they were pressured or ignorance is bliss. And I know how it feels. Look, listen, when your eyes are open for the first time and you see that things are not, well, you know, what you thought they were, there's a tendency that people have to run back into the dark. Please, I don't want to see any more light. Run back into the dark. And ancestry works that way. So they suppress themselves. They have kids and they become, you know, soccer mom or soccer dad or whatever. And then the kid turns out different. Like, you want to talk about some karma, right? That kid may be not a normal kid up until 12, and then all of a sudden puberty hits them, and then something switches on inside of them. Something that you try to suppress. That's hilarious to me.
Yeah. It can't be suppressed. So the nature of it is that these kind of things are beyond time. So when you're choosing to procreate, have children, you have to do your due diligence, not just thinking, okay, the mother-in-law is an asshole, but I can deal with her. You're dealing with more than just one asshole mother-in-law. Okay?
Oh my God.
There's a whole bloodline. You got to be careful because that affects the soul that incarnates in the body of that child that has your DNA. And also your own progeny. You think your own parents are degenerate? You haven't dug far enough. You have no idea where you come from. You see, people don't really realize how powerful and eternal these kinds of energetic bonds are. So, well, they can be broken. It requires work. It's hard work, so hard that they have lasted for centuries, maybe millennia, but it's not impossible. So we talked about curses manifesting in behavioral problems like alcoholism, addiction, suicide, violence in the family, divorce. I mean, name it, the whole range. Just if you look into your own family, extended family, you're going to discover some of these patterns very probably. And what we're trying to present here very respectfully to you, our esteemed audience, beautiful ladies and gentlemen, is that you do not have to be a victim You absolutely have the power in one potent ritual to cut the cord to that goddamn thing. Because when they were writing down this ritual, nobody asked your permission. That's a violation of your free will. Exertion of your free will is your birthright. It is your human right. And you can absolutely do this.
Yes. The other aspect of Ancestry, which I really want to take on, is this sort of false pride of Ancestry. Listen, if you guys are rich and you're listening to this, back in the day, rich usually meant that you stepped on somebody's neck to get your wealth. I'm sorry, let's just keep it real. So if you come from a wealthy family, and especially if that wealthy family is European, there is a high possibility that that wealth was built upon the necks and backs of people who really didn't appreciate being exploited. That would be an ancestral curse, because years and years of hatred against you and your family tends to add up. So be careful with the pride with regard to ancestral pride. Look, this is my family crest. I have this manor and this property and all of this stuff, right? When you see those family crests, you got to do your research and really do your research. Did your family own slaves? Did your family colonize? Were they colonizers? Did your family take advantage of the Jews who were seeking refugees coming to Europe? Did your family take advantage of any sets of people? Were your family Vikings that raped, pillaged, and plundered? You have to take these things into consideration. Absolutely, you do. I know that I have. And I have decided that I'm going vegan. Okay? Because, you know. Right? So I decided I'm going vegan. So you have to take these things into consideration, because karma is a bitch, but ancestral karma is, yo, that's a whole different level of shit that's coming your way. Because what it is the accumulated rage, anger, hatred of people against your family coming at you, and you are cursed from birth, and you need to cut that tie. Now, we know the lesson of Buddha. The Buddha had everything going for him, and he walked out into the desert. There's a reason for these things. When people in Hinduism talk about the sannyas, usually in a derogatory manner. These people pick up and they leave their family and they leave their loved ones and they go and sit in the hills and they're meditating and they're irresponsible. No, they might be actually doing you a favor. They might actually be healing you by leaving you. So I tend to caution people when it is that they become so proud of their family crest and so on, because honestly, their crest and the wealth and my family did this and my family did that. Your family probably got their wealth by nefarious means. Be careful with that and do your research, because you see, ignorance is a kind of defense, Amir. It defends you against the truth. If I don't know the truth, then I'm defended. Well, you're hearing a possibility on this broadcast. So get up, go do the research, and figure out where it is all that pride that you have is coming from. You should learn to be humble. It's usually a safe bet. But when it comes to family origins and so on, you should definitely be humble, because there'll be that one killer in your family, that one colonizer, that one slave master, that one, I don't know, genocidal maniac in your family that has really screwed you all over, and you don't know that. Amir, over to you.
That's absolutely correct. Perfectly said, and very difficult to top. So now, David, if it's okay with you, let's look at the other side of things. That, okay, maybe your ancestors, as we mentioned in the beginning of this broadcast, were in the service to all. They were healers, they were shamans, they were protectors, they were guardians of wisdom and knowledge. Their effect on humanity was immensely positive. Through acts of service and sacrifice through hardship, they gained spiritual authority. Many of those gifts and blessings are also passed down through the bloodline. So I'm absolutely certain that among you, esteemed ladies and gentlemen who are listening to this broadcast, there are those that had certain gifts since birth. You think, I was just born this way. No, my friend, you come from a long line of healers, shamans, magicians, keepers of wisdom, keepers of the light, that have kept this crazy shit show of a world as it is preserved. Otherwise, we would have gone extinct as a species long ago.
Correct.
And so now you are accessing those gifts without even knowing who's blessing you.
Correct.
Imagine if through meditation and contemplation, you actually connect to these divine ancestors in order for them to bestow upon you many, many other beautiful gifts, take you to levels that you cannot even imagine. You must also earn their respect. Show them that you are worthy of these gifts that they're bestowing upon you. Through your own acts of honor, service to all, sacrifice for righteousness, healing yourself, building yourself, becoming worthy of those gifts. You become incredibly potent, and then you become the next in line to hold the light for the sake of humanity.
You know, Amer, I love what we do. And part of the reason why I love what Amer and I do on these broadcasts is that we get to meet a lot of people. We get to meet a lot of truly gifted people. And I, from the bottom of my heart, I have to say that I really love what we do. Like even just recently, Amer introduced me to a young lady who is gifted. We got her name wrong, but Edleen, if you're listening to this, you are a truly gifted soul. I have not felt anything like that in a little while. And so we get to meet a lot of gifted people who would not have, they would have stayed in the shadows and so on if we hadn't done a show like this.
Yeah.
Right? Every day people reach out to us and introduce themselves to us, and we are actually building quite an interesting family. Like a real family, not a, you know.
Bonds that are so much more potent than blood can ever be.
Exactly.
These are soul bonds. Bonds that the soul will remember beyond time.
People who have crossed the oceans of time to be where they are right now. And every show that we do, I actually do the call out. I say, guys, if you are around, you can email us at info@universalcitizentv.com and we will answer you. The reason why we say that is because there are a lot of people who are different, inverted commas, different, and they think that there's something wrong with them. And because they are different in the context in which they exist, the family context or whatever else, they believe that there may be something wrong with them until they run across our show. And I love what we do because of that. Okay, because we get to actually meet these people and say, hey, guess what? We're different too.
Yeah.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
And yes, hey, guess what? You're awesome beyond your wildest imagination.
Yes.
Let us show you. Let us just show you. Give us 5 minutes. Let us show you how awesome you are. And then that light is ignited once again. The connection to the ancestors is established.
Correct.
And a whole new being of power is born.
Even in the comment section, I can actually feel the energy of people who have been through the rigor, but they're still here and they're still hopeful. And that actually does warm my heart quite a bit, which is why I tell you guys, please leave your comments in the section below, because honestly speaking, it does do us some good to see that there are people out there who are actually listening and still paying attention. And when it comes to Ancestry, we want you guys to know that whatever gifts that you're born with, that you consider to be curses, but are actually gifts.
Yeah. Yes.
And I keep saying this on this show, you guys are not alone, okay? Suppressing it does not help. If it's ancestral, it's part of who you are. And it cannot be undone except in the astral realm. And just so that we're clear, when it comes to spirituality and spiritual gifts, that's one of the things that you definitely do not want to undo. It would be the same as saying, you know what, I can live without a spine. Let me just take it out.
Or a brain.
So I honestly am actually very, very grateful actually that we get to meet these kinds of people. And what I want to say with regard to ancestry is that you can't escape your ancestry. You can't. It's what you chose, just so that we're clear. Your ancestry is what you chose. Whether wittingly, whether you know it wittingly or unwittingly, this is what you chose. You are here now. Make the best of it. Really, make the best of it, right? Because I just gave you guys my history. I gave you his history. My ancestors were cannibals. They ate people.
Well,
I'm enjoying salads,
yeah.
Lots of salads.
Yeah, my ancestors were Vikings and Druids, not the most peaceful folk. And the other 50% are Persian. Look at what the Iranians are doing right now, right? But choosing to
forget about the Iranians. The history of Ceylon is like yeah, what?
You're I mean, they've always been kind of on the headlines throughout history.
Yeah, on the headlines is correct.
So again, I chose to be in this very unique combination of bloodlines. Ladies and gentlemen, there were lots of degenerates in my bloodline. It wasn't an easy task breaking the curses that came with multiple generations of dark practitioners. I'm being very candid and vulnerable here in honesty and humility. Breaking these curses were not easy, but I did it. If I can do it, you can do it.
Yes, and we want to actually put ourselves out there because you have a Viking Iranian person sitting next to a potential cannibal. One wants to rob the other one. The other one wants to eat the other one. You know, it's easy to break the curses when you put your mind to it.
If we didn't break our curses, we would rob you and then eat you. So you see, there's a big difference here.
And so this is the kind of things that we really want to give you guys some insight to. And as I said, your ancestry does not make who you are. We've come to the end of our show today. I want to give Amir the last word, but I want to say this. Your ancestry does not make who you are completely. You have choice. But if you are here and you know that this is what you've chose to come into this world as, this is the experience that you're having, then make the best of it. You have a duty, like you want to talk about Dharma here, you have a duty to your ancestors, whether you like it or not. You have a duty to your descendants, whether you like it or not. What you do in this incarnation will echo down the line. What contracts you make in this incarnation will echo down the line. So when it is that you are operating in this incarnation, be the best that you can be, because it will echo. It will not only echo down the line, but your ancestors that effed up are going to be looking at you and saying, shit, we could have been like this guy. Amir, the last word is yours.
Well, in this broadcast, we kind of went to the next level of things. Up to this point in time, in this ever-present now, We've spoken about working on yourself. Now this is going to the next level, dealing with those who have come before and those who are going to come, all in one place. You can be the peacemaker, peacekeeper, and healer for all those beings that you do not remember consciously, but they are part of you energetically, nevertheless. And through acts of valor and greatness, earning your rites of passage, you can do a lot of healing on countless people that are linked to you through this skin suit technology. You can get rid of the negativity and earn the blessings, gratitude, and gifts of your ancestors, past and future. This is truly next level, and it is no easy task. But in advance, I congratulate you for your fortitude in succeeding in this beautiful mission, doing something that nobody could have done but you. In fact, may I respectfully present that that is why you are born in this family line. That is what you chose to do.
Absolutely. Guys, this is our show for today. We want to remind you that we'll be doing a call-in show very soon. We will announce it, we will set it, and we'll put it on Facebook. And we'll blast it to the email, and we'll blast it on social media. And guys, we want you to come in and interact with us, ask questions, let us know what you think, give us feedback for shows and so on. We are always open. This is an open door network, which means that anyone can come in and anyone can leave. Not like a roach motel. That would be religion. So, guys, I'll see you guys next week. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.